Good morning. Good morning, boys and girls. Today is the start of the 2017 baseball season. I am Andrew Adornato, and on behalf of Mountainside Youth Baseball, I'd like to welcome you to opening day. We've all been told about the cliches that there is no I in team, but team identity is truly important when it comes to sports. This boils down to the type of teammates we're surrounded by. As ball players, our teammates are important not only to the outcome of the game, but to the fun factor that we all look to have every time we step onto the field. There are many attributes that make a good teammate. Today, I will touch on a couple of these. Selflessness. It should never be me, or I, but instead, always be we or us. Every player should be asking, what can I bring to the team? As opposed to, what can the team bring to me? If we're focused on individual goals all the time, we're not going to achieve anything as a whole. Instead, focus on team-oriented goals. Use statements such as, we are going to become better players. We are going to win more games. We are going to work harder. Communication. Connect with your coaches and teammates through communication, both verbally and through body language. Being a good listener is one of the best ways to be a good communicator. When coaches or fellow players are speaking, don't focus on what you're going to say next. Instead, listen to what they have to say and respond back. Be respectful. No matter where you come from or what your differences are, you have a common bond in that you are on the same team. Put aside any differences that you might have and respect your fellow players, coaches, umpires, and parents. All of us are trying to achieve a common goal, becoming better players and better people. Positive attitude. Playing baseball isn't always easy. You make an error, you make an out, but you have to stay positive. Look at the big picture, the process. Focus on team success. Maybe you didn't score a run, but contribute in other ways by cheering on and encouraging your teammates. Stay positive within the team. Dependability. You need to be a reliable person. It's being committed to part of the team and buying into the team, what the team is doing. Show up for practices and games. Be that player the team relies on to show up and work hard every time. Most importantly, have fun. We want our players, coaches, and volunteers to have fun and be passionate about what they're doing. When we step onto the field, nothing else should exist in the world. Focus on what's going on in the present. Be passionate about it. That will help keep the team together. Maintain the passion throughout the game or practice, and you'll create a common bond with your teammates. Little League Baseball is about making memories with your teammates and your family that you will remember the rest of your life. Have a great 2017 season. At this time, I would like to bow our heads in a moment of silence to remember those members of our MYB community we have lost this year. Diane Mcgee and George Habedank. Thank you. And here to say something on behalf of Diane Mcgee is former President Jeannie Ruban.
Good morning. Today, we take a moment to remember and celebrate the life of a dear friend of Mountainside, Diane Mcgee. Diane passed away suddenly last year, and her death was a shock to her family and our community. But it's her life that we remember and celebrate today. Diane was the finest example of what we should all seek to strive for. She was a friend to everyone, someone who genuinely cared for each and every one of us. We have been blessed over the years to have so many dedicated friends, those who have given thousands of hours on the field to our children. Diane's strength wasn't between the baselines. Instead, she was one of MYB's biggest fans and never missed a chance to show her support. Living right up the block, Diane and her family were at the fields nearly every night, even on those nights when her sons, Michael and Connor, were not playing. She cheered just as hard for your son or daughter as she did for her own, and was the most positive influence to other parents and spectators. Diane greeted everyone with a big hug and a bigger smile, and she was an expert on every team's rosters. She knew every player, even if they didn't know her. Every success or failure was met with a positive cheer and comment. She was the ultimate cheerleader, and her genuine excitement was infectious. For years, we have celebrated the lives of a few of our players that have passed by referring to them as angels in the outfield. Today, we remember Diane Mcgee and thank her for her support and love of MYB and its players. She will forever be our angel in the bleachers. To her husband, Tom, her daughter, Erin, and her sons, Michael and Connor, we pass along our deepest condolences and ask everyone to share a moment of silence in memory of Diane.
Please remove your caps and turn your attention to the flag in center field as we honor our nation. Raising the flag this year, as always, is Chuck Fernicola, along with his 6th grade Blue Stars. And now here to perform our national anthem is Susanna Allenbacker Green, an 8th grader at Deerfield School.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Susanna. That was great. This year marks the 64th season of Mountainside Youth Baseball. Many people have worked countless hours to prepare for today and this upcoming season. Without the continued support of our parents, coaches, volunteers, and sponsors, this would all not be possible. This year, the league has a total of 19 teams in 5 divisions. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to the hardworking members of the Mountainside Youth Baseball Board. Cody Brown, Eric Cantagallo, Chuck Fernicola, Steve Filiacci, Dana Guidapietro, David James, Jason Habeday, Bob Palongas, Mike LaLoya, Matt Pater, Jeannie Ruban, John Salerno, Jovan Scanalafoli, and Dan Warder. This year, our field crew comprises of Mike Ballman Jr. and Jake Snyder. And always, of course, always lending a helping hand in here countless hours, even though he's semi-retired, is Frankie Harpster Jr. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Paul Marabelli, Mayor of Mountainside.
Good morning, Mountainside! Come on, this is opening day, let's hear it! Come on! On behalf of myself and the council and the whole community, I would like to welcome everyone to 2017 opening day in Mountainside. A day like today does not happen in a vacuum. It happens because of all the volunteers that have worked hard before today and will continue to work hard throughout the season. I see a lot of familiar faces out there as volunteers. I also see a lot of new faces, which is fantastic. Mountainside is a community of volunteers. For those of you who are not volunteering, I would urge you to get out and volunteer. Do something, pick up a rake, do something, okay? You'll feel very good when you volunteer. It's not only for the kids, it's for yourself. I know, I volunteer a lot of time and I feel great doing it and I'm gonna continue to do it. And Mountainside needs to continue to be a town of volunteers. That was for the adults. For the kids, you need to have fun, be safe, and be respectful to your players, your coaches, the umpires, and the fans. So I want to wish everyone a happy, healthy, and safe season. Play ball!
Thank you, Mayor. And now I'd like to ask Detective Sean Bendick, our school resource officer, to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Chief Atanasio and the other members of the Mountainside Police Department, we hope that everyone has a very, very fun and a very, very safe 2017 baseball season. We ask that parents and spectators alike please observe the posted speed limits around town, 25 miles per hour, and of course, when children are present, we ask that everyone goes much slower than that. Also, the no parking restrictions that are in this area, we ask that everyone please observe those there for our children's safety. Other than that, the police department is here for you. If there's any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And once again, we hope everyone has a great 2017 season. Thank you.
Thank you, Detective. It is with pleasure that I introduce you our Chief School Administrator, Dr. Nancy Lavarse.
Good morning, everyone. Hanging in my kitchen window at home, I have something called a pitcher plant. The flowers resemble little drinking pitchers, but it occurred to me they also look like baseball bats. It got me to thinking about gardening and baseball and how much they both have in common. Spring is the time when gardeners and baseball players, coaches and parents are all filled with anticipation that this will be the best season ever. It's a magical time. The air is warming up. Both gardening and baseball get you outside in the fresh air. There is hope and excitement for what this year's crops will yield. The growing season practically mirrors the baseball season. Baseball players and gardeners get excited by simply stepping onto the dirt, where they both get a chance to play. Each member of the team is a tiny seed that begins to get fertilized with practice and praise. Both baseball players and gardeners have a regular routine so they can be prepared. Adjustments are made throughout the season to make sure each plant and player are in the right position to do their best. This development and growth is a slow process. Some of the changes you can barely see, others are very dramatic. But both plants and players are watched carefully by parents and coaches to see if any extra fertilizing or practice is needed. They keep watching you every day, growing and thriving in the sun, and yes, maybe the rain too. Both are necessary. Hopefully your team is as well orchestrated as the garden, with each member working together to help each other to bloom and grow. One of the big differences between gardening and baseball, though, is that plants get to stay in one place. You guys have to move around, watch, and listen very carefully in order to help your team succeed. But just remember, not every plant is going to bloom the way you would like it to, just like every player is not going to score a home run. but it is the effort and the self-confidence that both your parents and your coaches nurture and help you build that encourage you to keep trying to be your best. At the end of the season is the harvest, the results when you can see the fruits of everyone's labor. It is when gardeners gather fruits, vegetables, and flowers. Your team doesn't just gather wins, although that would be nice, but you gather skills and abilities that will help you your whole life. It is the best time to learn what worked and what didn't, and what skills you will take with you and remember for next season. Good luck, and I wish all of you a great growing season.
Thank you, Dr. Lavarse. And finally, I'd like to turn it over to Jim Ruban, Mountainside Board of Education President.
Good morning, everyone. To the players, I'd just like to say on behalf of the Board of Education how very proud we are of all you achieve on the field, but also everything you achieve in those classrooms. To the coaches, I'd just like to say enjoy the time you have on the field with these amazing kids, because it goes by really fast and it's incredibly magical. And I know that sometimes when your shortstop's building a sandcastle and your right fielder's picking flowers, it may not seem that way, but I promise you, if you're patient and you wait and you work with them, that shortstop's going to make the most incredible play you've ever seen, and that right fielder's going to make a running catch to win the game. And when you see the smile on their face and their teammates around them chanting their name, you're going to see that magic, and you're going to understand how great it is to be a coach in MYB and MSA. Thank you all very much. Have a great season.
Thank you, Jim. Many people have lent their time and talents to make today so wonderful. On behalf of both MYB and MSA, I would like to thank the Borough Council, the Mountainside Board of Education, the Mountainside Fire Department, the Mountainside Police Department, the Mountainside Rescue Squad, the Governor Livingston Band, and Mike Wentz for the sound system. Thank you all so very much for your contributions to the community. Now what we've all been waiting for. It's time to introduce to you the Mountainside Youth Baseball teams for 2017, starting with T-Ball. The Bulls, managed by Anthony Basil and sponsored by the club at Diamond Beach. The Muck Dogs, managed by Carl McQuilkin and managed by Bruce Trano and Sons Plumbing and Heating. The Rattlers, managed by Randy Shehady and sponsored by Auto Doctor of Mountainside. The Scrappers, managed by David James and sponsored by LTS Moving. The Storm, managed by Dan Woodard and sponsored by Phillips and Policelli. The Thunder, managed by Jason Guidapietro and sponsored by the Chichellos. And now the American League. The A's, managed by Mike LaLoya and sponsored by Merrill Lynch. The Brewers, managed by Mike Barone and sponsored by JDM Electric. The Cardinals, managed by Dimitri DeVoe and sponsored by Echo Plaza Cleaners. The Dodgers, managed by Chris Hasselgren and sponsored by Force Financial Associates. The Giants, managed by Bobby Poth and sponsored by the Arenados. Next, the minor league. The Cubs, managed by Bob Holongos and sponsored by Advanced Surgical Associates. The Mets, managed by Jim Hughes and sponsored by TPS Financial. The Pirates, managed by Tim Jacqua and sponsored by the Chichellos. The Yankees, managed by Dan Woodard and sponsored by Phillips and Policelli. In the Major League, the Blue Stars, managed by Chuck Fernicola and sponsored by Chuck Fernicola. The Nationals, managed by Terry Gardner and Joe Diskin and sponsored by North Plainfield Nissan. The White Sox, managed by Mike Labisi and sponsored by DeSisti. And finally, our Pony League this year, we could merge with Mountain Heights and combine the 14U travel team, and it is managed by Cody Brown. At this time, Cody Brown, our Pony League player, will now read the poem entitled, "He is Just a Little Boy."
He stands at the plate, with his heart pounding fast. The bases are loaded, the die has been cast. Mom and Dad cannot help him, he stands all alone. A hit at this moment would send his team home. The ball meets the plate, he swings and his misses. There's a groan from the crowd, with some boos and some hisses. A thoughtless voice cries, "Strike out the bum." Tears fill his eyes. The game's no longer fun. So open up your heart and give him a break. For it's moments like these, a man you can make. Please keep this in mind when you hear someone forget, you're just a little boy and not a man yet.
Thank you, Cody. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mike Keysweater, representing Mountainside Softball.
Good morning, Mountainside. On behalf of the Mountainside Softball Association, I'd like to welcome all of you to Opening Day 2017. This is truly my favorite Mountainside event. This year marks the 11th year of MSA's existence. Over the past few years of being involved with MSA, I can't tell you how many visiting teams have come to our complex and can't believe how beautiful and well maintained our fields are. Our fields are not maintained by township employees, as many others are, but by volunteers. Volunteers are what makes Mountainside a great town. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Murphys, Tom and Heather, for their years of service. Heather's responsible for the day-to-day operations of MSA, and Tom takes care of all the maintenance needs. They do all of this without even having a child playing softball. Once again, this is a family that volunteers and devotes their life to Mountainside. I would also like to thank our board members and sponsors who we call on year after year for their donations. Without them, this would not be possible. Let's go out of our way this year and continue our good sportsmanship both on and off the field. Always be positive to other players, and to our older players, let's be good role models for our younger players. Now let's introduce our teams. In the kindergarten through second division, we have the Hornets, coached by Christine Pfeiffer. We also have the Yellow Jackets, coached by Kelly Gunzy. In our third grade through fifth grade division, we have the Space Jams, coached by me. And we have the Rockets, coached by Peyton Murphy. And we have the Milky Way, coached by Joanne Rinaldi. And our older team is the 6th through 8th grade division, which is the Hurricanes, coached by Sam Frangillo. Oh, and we also have the Little Peeps, coached by Tony Zmuda. All right, that's it. Have a great season. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Throwing out the first pitch today will be Mary Louise Harpster. ML was a board member for 15 years. She was in charge of scheduling umpires and most importantly, oversaw the MYB field crew. The Harpsters have been an integral part of MYB. Harpster Hill is named after the late Frank Sr. Frank Jr. played at MYB and has worked countless hours on our fields. Michelle, continues to be MYB's most valuable player. Mike Ballman will catch today's first pitch. Mike was a board member for the past 7 years. During his time, he served in the capacity of treasurer. His unending devotion to MYB will never go unnoticed. Besides being treasurer, he's been a coach, manager, worked on our fields, and is always available at a moment's notice. These past two board members exemplify community giving and selflessness. Thank you very much. All right, guys, enjoy. Have a great season.